They manage parks and recreation facilities. And the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
There's this interesting question of whether wild horses belong or not in the West. The symbol of all that is wild and free.
We've been living among the wild horses for almost the last 5 years.
Well, hello, Mama Bell. How are you? How are you, Mama Bell? What a beautiful mare you are. Hi, little bean. Hello, boy.
It's all right, Gandalf. We're not here to hurt your babies.
Hi, Solomon. It's me. It's all right. They're beautiful. They're wonderful animals. They're America's heritage out there. Wild horses are as American as apple pie. We're in trouble. We're losing our forest. This is a serious situation.
I'm very conscious of fires around here. We don't smoke outside. If we do any chainsawing, we carry a fire extinguisher with us.
When you want to change the heat of a fire, you got a couple things you can do. You can deplete the oxygen, or you can change the amount of fuel.
We've had a fire about 4 miles to the east of us, and then about 1.5 miles that way, there was another one. There was a lot of smoke and helicopters, and you can smell it, you can taste it. As you can see, we're all off-grid. There's a large
right at 1:30.
All right. Good afternoon. It is 1:30 p.m. on July 6th. It's a special meeting of Board of Commissioners. If you would please rise. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Quickly, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be in and out. I have a Regional Solutions video conference call on 2 big issues, the Fire Training Center and offshore wind energy, so I'm going to have to leave in about 20 minutes. I'll try and come back and forth if that's okay with the board. I appreciate it very much.
All right. Do we have any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I move we approve the agenda as written.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Further discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes?
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, so under action item 3, we are going to have a wage adjustment for county employees. Ms. Schmelzer?
Okay, so I did share with the board basically where we're at this point. We had workshops on the matter. We spent a lot of time on this. We do have some final charts, wage tables. You've reviewed those. You've reviewed the master payroll. We've also went through and looked at each department and how we would be able to pay for the salary increases. So I shared that with you as well. My recommendation to the board is that they approve it, the new wage study and the master payroll. We do have some things to discuss though, as we go through though, and I'm just gonna touch on those in the order that I have them. So one is basically, does the board approve the 3% step increases? You've already approved the COLA, so it's really a matter of you approving what was in the handout given to you, or basically tab 3, which showed what the differences would be, and we had the charts in there. So that would be the first thing to decide.
Have any comments?
I just appreciate that you went through and figured out what the difference between the old salary, if we kept everything frozen, versus if we put in the increases, your wage study.
Kind words, but Julie Swift did a tremendous amount of work on trying to get those charts all lined up and
Thank
getting
you,
those
Julie.
3% in there. So
Well, we got the name right
It was
anyway.
teamwork.
Julie.
Okay.
and then what I added to it was the piece to show how we would pay for it. So,
I think that's important.
yeah, I think so too.
Are we having any motions?
Before we vote, Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
you know, I appreciate the extra 3 days, 4 days, whatever we had to review this. And I'm going to repeat what I said the last meeting. There are so many things going on within our country, within our state. I mean, we have some serious economic rebuilding and recovery to do for our citizens here locally. I asked for a 90-day extension. I didn't officially ask for that, but I certainly referenced it. There is a gap, I believe, between the citizens and government employees at all levels. And I think our responsibility is trying to figure a way to close that gap. And this doesn't do that. It just really perceive, it makes people feel like they have and we don't have. We got restaurants going out of business. We've got, our timber revenues are down. I appreciate the revenue forecast that Director Smelser offered. I served in the legislature though. The revenue forecast was a big battle. Gap between the taxpayers, the citizens, and county government, a bureaucracy that is growing here that I didn't see the first 2 years I was here. And I had one employee say, you know, people drive by and they see all the private cars here, all the county cars, and they assume the worst. And that's a battle, at least a challenge that we have to accept and try and mitigate, try and bring the citizens together, especially now. And we talk about wage increases, almost automatic. I think again, it sends the wrong message. We're going to know a lot more about what our country's doing, what our state is doing, what our revenues are going to be in the next 3 months, 90 days. We saw what happened on PILT. State of Oregon is $2 billion down right now. $2 billion? $2,000 million down. We were so optimistic and saw evidence that our timber revenue was going to go up with much better and improved forest management, and now the market is down. I'm very concerned for the 2 mills we have in our county here. So I just think the timing on this, I'm asking the board, I'm going to have to oppose it today and just ask for that minimum of 90 days. And we're going to be able to assess and wisely have a better prediction on where we are on this. So as the government grows, the county level, again, real or perceived, I think that's a huge task for us. Thank you for that time, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Smelser, what are the total numbers on this?
I don't have the total numbers in front of me unless Julie does, maybe.
Are you looking at differences?
Yeah, well, I saw what you have there. This is for all departments then, right?
Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is here. This is possible revenue coming in. This is what we know for sure right now.
Okay.
We had an extra amount of 402,000.
So the CAFA, when are we looking for that to arrive?
My understanding is that it did get approved, and Jim was waiting to bring it to the board. So is that correct, Jim?
Public comments today.
CAFA grant has been approved by this board and it's been approved by the Department of Revenue, and that usually comes to the county in 4 installments during the year.
Okay. So everything has been approved on that.
And it was approved.
Did not budget an extra 400 that came in with the PILT funds last year, 402,000. So that 402,000, as I talked to you earlier today, would cover this. So I don't know whether we want to go for 3 years or 1 year. This would cover it for 1 year.
I think part of my concern with this is what happened the other day with the PILT money. That really frightened me. They shorted us $900 and some thousand for PILT. And, and after seeing a lot of the banter back and forth between Washington and Salem today and over the weekend, I don't know as we're going to be able to do any better next year. They're saying this might be the new norm. So even if we had a balanced budget, which we knew we weren't going to have after COVID hit because of the shortfalls in a lot of departments, with the PILT shortage as well, I just see us pushing a boulder uphill right now to give raises. I would like to. What I would like to do, I don't agree with Commissioner Boyce with the 90 days, but I would probably like to see this if we could agree to maybe bring it back in 60 days. And that way there we'll have a better assessment of the next quarter with the parks. We'll have a better assessment of, sorry. Our sheriff is having fun.
Oh.
But to have a little bit better assessment of what's going on in the county. I understand that it's hard to find, good help in some areas, and we could look at this also as retroactive once we see how everything lays out. But to put 7 figures plus in the wind right now, to me, it's just, I think it's a little premature for this, and I would like to see things shake out for another month or two. So I don't know if the board wants to bring it back in 30 days, 60 days, however we'd like to vote on it, whatever the motion would be. But I don't think we need to wait 90, but that's up to the boards on their vote. Commissioner Boyce?
Thank you again. Hey, I'll compromise at 60 days. I think we're going to have much better data to analyze. And you said something interesting. I want to make sure I understood. And probably this is a question for either Director Smelzer or Director Swift. Could be still 60 days from now retroactive? A lot of headaches?
We can go retroactive. It does cause a lot of headaches with the master payroll, which has to be adopted before the first pay period, which is Wednesday. So I suppose you could adopt the master payroll minus
increase. Teamsters 206, which is the road department, hasn't given us a response on their feeling on the wage study. So, okay. Yeah, but their contract also called for 3% COLA, and if steps are unfrozen for non-reps and SEIU, they would then get their full step. So it kind of leaves us in a little bit of limbo, and I just need a direction on how to do the first payroll from you, basically.
And quick.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is we'd want to make sure that so if we approve the master payroll minus the steps, minus the anniversary, just, that does include the raises for the elected officials, because that's already been approved. Order. That was a separate order, and that's already been approved.
Yeah.
Can we stay that as well, or?
I don't know if this county has ever revoked orders. Okay. They passed new orders.
Yes, you could.
Which elected officials are getting raises?
Everybody but the commissioners.
You wanted that in there.
Yeah.
Commissioners
just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that.
There's a small insurance benefit in there for the commissioners, but the compensation committee and the budget committee approved raises for the other elected officials.
Well, if the employees are not getting raises, I don't think the electeds should.
Well, we already have. That was, right?
Yeah,
That's
that
done.
was last meeting.
And that was a minor, overall, pretty minor. Sure.
$27,000.
There's also a procedure for changing the salaries of elected officials. The compensation board, and it's kind of complicated, but.
Yes,
Mr.
Commissioner,
Chair,
I'm ready to
Boyce,
make a motion.
Give me just a minute, please.
Certainly.
So again, the master payroll, as I've written it, would be incorrect. Because we included
So you'd have to go back and do the original pay, the old salary, and then put the cost of living increase in there, and then the step.
But right now,
Negotiated annual salary increases. And by that he means the union the contract does talk about 3% increases. And then it says the union is concerned that our current step increase language in Article 21 of our agreement does not contain any valuation standard that, if not met, would result in the denial of an annual step increase. It appears that the imposition of this additional condition and hurdle to receiving a step increase would violate our agreement, which I found interesting because my understanding is they do evaluations. So, but I suppose it's not part of the contract. The union understands that the wage table for road department employees contains a 5% difference between steps. Will this remain unchanged according to the proposal? And he was incorrect on that because the proposal was 3% between steps.
Mr. Christensen, could you do me a favor and come up to the microphone, please?
I have about 2 minutes, Mr. Chair. I'm trying to get back as quickly as I've got to make a presentation.
I'm just kind of wondering what kind of, I mean, I understand your situation, and I understand the time, you know, the constraints you're under to find people, but you've told me that you had a couple of people leave, that you're not sure you're going to refill those slots right now. Is it possible to fill some of that spread, you know, because of the difference in salaries? You could spread that?
It's possible. I'd have to look at that, and
I'm not into taking food off of people's plate either, you know, but we've got to do what's best for everyone here.
Right. Well, the road department, as you know, it went without raises or COLAs, step increases for like 9 years, and that's why I'm in the position that I am right now. But what I was trying to do was look at reorganizing the team and dropping a couple positions to help with these raises. And so I'd still like to do that. Road department's in a little bit different area than the rest of the county because we get no general fund dollars or local tax money. Our funding is the state and federal, and we have the reserve. Right. And so because of what we've been doing here the last few years, you know, we have a union now that we never used to have, and it was just so the employees felt they could get raises. But I appreciate anything you could do because I would really like to fill a couple of vacant positions, other positions that I can't locally compete.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Colon, any constraints in your office if we wait a little bit here? I mean, I know we're not going to make anyone happy if we wait, but I'm not like I just told him, I'm not into taking people's food off their plate, but we've got some serious financial issues.
Losing some of our more experienced and more talented employees. I can tell you with regards to the assessor's office and tax collector's office, we retain employees because most of them are tied to the community, otherwise tied to the community. And that's one thing, but they still need to be able to feed themselves, like you mentioned.
Okay.
So I understand that you're in a difficult position. I guess that's all that I have to say about that.
Thank you, sir.
Right now.
Any further comments? Commissioner Gold?
I think we also need to look at the true rate of inflation. If anybody's been to the grocery store recently, you know that things have gone sky high. So when you talk about taking food off people's table, I guess essentially we would be doing that by not giving them raises, so.
Commissioner Boyce? There's just a greater responsibility, even an obligation for us to find additional revenue, and I think that's from a consumption tax. You know, I don't know what other options we have. Raising property tax, I don't think any of us will support that. But there is a lot of money coming over the Del Norte County border where they can still save money, particularly shopping in Brookings. So maybe this will nudge us. I brought it up twice in the last 4 years and couldn't get support. And so maybe it's time.
Well, I think it's prudent that we just stand fast for just a short period of time and let's see what's going to shake out with the state and the federal government in the coming weeks and month or so, and hopefully we'll see some more positive numbers. I'm seeing the jobs numbers go up last week by 11 million.
I thought it was 14.
Was it 14? I'm sorry.
But not so much in Oregon.
I was cautiously optimistic that we've turned the corner here, so I'd like to see, and driving down 101 the other day a few times, seeing all the people in the county, that was very very promising for a revenue source anyway. So did you have a motion?
Motion to delay, continue, table for 60 days this discussion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Patch.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Right, and that's
Yes.
what was my question. COLA?
We already adopted the COLA.
We've already adopted the COLA.
Okay, so non-reps get the COLA. And then 206 then is a 3%. But no steps for them right now because their contract says steps unfrozen for non-reps and SEIU.
Well, isn't the SEIU contract, what we agreed was they would get something this year, right?
SEIU, yeah.
So they're getting a step, so I think we're gonna have to
Road has to get it
give
as
the
well.
road a step.
That's automatic, yeah.
But the road contract says non-reps and SEIU. And if you're not giving them to non-reps.
You're correct. You're correct. It does. I have it right here.
Yep.
It says, I'll just read you the wording. Each employee shall, step increases will not occur during the term of this agreement unless the step freeze is lifted for SEIU and non-represented employees. So basically, because we did a step increase with SEIU, it would be eligible for road as well if non-reps did it. And to be honest with you, if that's the case, the only people not getting the raise are the non-reps. So they're the small portion of it, so why not approve it? I guess,
So,
when I'm
question,
looking at it.
what difference is it gonna make?
I really, yeah, I mean,
By the time we're done with all of this, what is gonna be the difference? Pretty minuscule, I would think.
it is because it's going to be the non-rep employees.
Which is a group of about 30 employees. 33 employees. But many are topped out.
Yeah, many are in longevity or in programs where they're seeing revenues coming in. Like emergency management, part of that salary is paid. Same thing with veterans, economic development.
So in essence, we could go forward with the master payroll order as written, adjust the Exhibit A for the COLA amount at July 1, because that's all we do on the master payroll, and just at this point not implement the wage study. Is that right?
Well, unless the board just voted not to do it, but knowing that the only ones not knowing the only ones that aren't going to be impacted are non-reps.
That's what I'm saying. Leave the master payroll as written with those COLAs and steps for people written into it, and then put the wage study in later if desired. So I don't know if you have the master payroll order in front of you.
We don't have an order in front.
Whatever JJ had in the packet from the first one.
So the order would be there, and then Exhibit A is the list of employees.
Oh, the whereases? Yeah, I had that.
In my head.
but.
It would be, well, no, because I included the new wage studies in the example.
Well, so let's
It would
look
be
at,
less. It would be less than what we
gonna
did
be
with
less,
the example.
Right.
So you look at your non-reps, you have, Tracy Gardner in the assessor's office, but her salary is covered. You have Jeremy, you have Summer, you have Tony, you have Anthony. Those are all covered by other sources.
You got Wendy Lang.
She's partially covered, but her Chet Brewer would be expenses to us.
Myself.
My salary, you, John.
JJ.
Yep.
I mean, we know the SEIU portion because that was all part of our negotiations.
I guess for me, what I'd like to see, I like to see apples to apples kind of a thing. So if we could have both printed out so you can look at them so we know exactly what we're comparing to. I know I don't know if it's a matter of just plugging numbers in or if you have to go back and change each one. And
So the biggest change is going to be the wage study piece of it. And that dollar amount for what those wages are. Because like I said, some of the non-rep people are already topped out, so it's not going to make a difference as far as steps for them.
Julie, how long would it take to pull that together? I mean, like an hour?
Probably longer than that. I mean,
well, I've got all the names here.
I have a
Could
question.
we go through and underline them?
It goes back to something Commissioner Gold said, and Commissioner, we do the weight or the salary schedule every year. Our union agreement is a 3-year agreement with SEIU, I think, and maybe Rhodes is for another 2, perhaps. But Commissioner Gold indicated that the number she saw would cover, the existing numbers would cover a year. The question I have is the salary schedule I guess that is establishing the wages, but it's only a year. So the salary schedule that you prepared that was to be adopted last week and that's continued to today, that we also continued to, what, 90 days from now or something?
60 days.
60. That salary schedule, according to what Commissioner Gold said, is covered by the current.
And lock your doors, or are we going to start to open this economy up and get this country rolling again?
Okay.
So I think in 60 days we should have a little bit broader view of that. I'd like to know. I mean, how much of the difference of the salary, if we did the increase, is covered by the CAFA versus general fund money? How much of it is covered by grants and all that versus general fund money?
I think Julie had that on her schedule.
Yeah, and that's what was emailed out last Thursday. It was showing basically the CAFA grant is kind of like the savior because that money that was being used previously to pay those salaries is now going to be covered by the CAFA grant.
But what I saw here was about $125,000 difference from the CAFA grant to general fund. Am I correct?
More like 150.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I have a question for Julie Swift.
This is if we get all the grants. This is what
the requirement to adopt the master salary schedule. Do you have in front of you at all the ORS that?
I don't, but it's on the order itself, which I don't have with me.
Okay. I've got that order.
I believe it has the ORS on there.
if we don't use the money through the CAFA grant, what happens to the money?
If we don't use the CAFA grant money?
We don't use it then, right? I mean, we don't get it.
Yeah, I would think that if we don't use that, it would go back to the state, but we can see that the CAFA grant, we'll definitely use the CAFA grant money.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's less than what the overall budget is, so it'll be used to, and it's, you know, that helps with BOPTA, that helps with treasurer, that helps with
Okay.
assessment and taxation.
I think we're in a conundrum here. And I'm kind of looking at this to see, you know, what would the difference be between, we're already stuck with the union.
I just have to go back through, well, but this, I'd have to go back to the previous salary schedules. I mean, I have them figured, I just have to go and plug
Could
all
you
the
have it later
numbers in.
today if we recessed for a couple hours?
Probably could.
Why don't we recess this, there's 2 o'clock now, why don't we recess till 4 o'clock and we'll reconvene at 4 o'clock?
And I've got a problem, I've got a medical appointment
okay.
at 4, so. I'm looking at this, and could you just go through, and I'm just kind of marking off those non-union people. Right, but you
not
can't.
necessarily the committing to the step increases for 3 years, because we still don't have the new salary study
Yeah,
in.
making a commitment for 3 years is kind of hard, but 1 year, I think we could do it. But
Well, and that's because we have the excess in the PILT money that we got from last year
Right.
that we have in reserve,
Right.
correct?
Well, I didn't even figure that in there, but you can add an extra 400,000. I didn't figure it in there because I figured we'd want to
Right.
technically reserve it for the shortfall that's coming.
Right.
I have a question for Jim. If we were, Colin, you'd have to come up to the microphone, I guess. If we were to go back to the regular salaries, is that going to cause a problem with the CAFA grant?
No, the CAF grant was applied for using
The union,
the existing salary study,
okay,
or the existing salary schedule, I should say, to make it less confusing.
okay.
Could we see, could we see if we can get Commissioner Boyce back in here for 5 minutes?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, I know you had a comment. We didn't have any public comments on the agenda today.
Looks like he's waving it off anyway. I guess what we really need is a magic wand here that we can just print our own money or something.
Well, I like having the 300 and some or 400 and some $1,000 in reserves on the PILT money,
Oh, totally agree.
but I like having employees that are being paid what they're worth too.
Well, and it's really hard because you've got the non-represented employees getting nothing, and
Representatives are getting what they want.
yeah, and that bothers me.
Do you have a couple minutes? Well, where we are with this right now is we've all sat and talked about this a little bit more, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Swift or Ms. Schmelzer, but basically where we are right now is Commissioner Gold has made and Council Huddle has made some sense to me that looking at this to do it as a 1-year event with a non-continuing event without, of course, readdressing it, we're about $130,000 short because the CAFA grant is automatic. We have the CAFA grant, and it's money that we're going to get no matter what. So the short
would be adopting the salary schedule that you had prepared for the last meeting that I understand included the wage studies.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Correct.
with that, it would only be for a year. We would, according to Commissioner Pasch's review, would be roughly have a $135,000 shortfall, but according to Director Schmelzer, there's $440,000 in the PILT reserve that may be used to cover
Actually,
that.
it's 402,000.
Okay, 402. So, I don't know, Commissioner Gold, did that track your numbers as well, that summary?
Yes.
I just wanted your thoughts and opinion on it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're still going to make payroll 12 months from now, right? And there's so much unknown. It is certainly worth considering. You know, I've stated why I have this apprehension. The 60-day, did we rescind that, or do we need to?
We would need to if we do this.
Okay, thank you. No, I'm going to stand firm. It's a tough call, but I might feel completely different in 2 months. I'm watching the state legislature and the whole accounting system there, and I mean, I see a cliff coming. And you've stated it in the past, and I think stated it well, the concerns you have long term. So yeah, I feel like I got to stay with my 60-day, give us that time. There's a lot of good things that are happening. There's a lot of good things that could happen that could help us with our decision. But I'm just concerned the message it sends to the people out there that are trying to figure out how in the heck they're going to eat right now. And it is that serious in Curry County. And most of Oregon, not just rural. So I appreciate you bringing me back in very much, and I listen carefully and respect the decisions here, or the opinions here. But my decision is going to have to stand on at least give us that 60 days.
Do you have anything further, Commissioner?
There's another possibility. Implement this for, say, 6 months. Would that be possible? And then relook at it in 6 months, and if things are really bad, just have to rescind it. I mean, that's another possibility. We're up against a rock and a hard place right now.
And we can, excuse me, go ahead. We can sort that all out in the next 2 months. Could.
Well, I understand there might be a burden for the work to get done to do this, but I think I'm going to stay as well with my original decision to hold this for 60 days and go back to the old pay with whatever provisions were made.
That necessarily needs to be in an order.
That's in the wage study order. So the one that, the order that adopts the wage adjustment also includes language about the 40 hours.
But if we're going to put that off for 60 days, how does that affect your 40-hour people?
Well, the board already passed an order back in July that everybody's supposed to be working 40 hours. So I think we're covered on that.
Okay, good.
So Julie, so your payroll, going back to the old way, does it show the increase for the SEIU employees that they're getting? Or is that going to have to be added?
That's been negotiated and it's in the budget, but it's not showing on that Exhibit A.
Okay,
so that Exhibit A is going to have to change.
Okay.
Yep.
So the statute on 294-250 sub 3 says once each year the county shall publish the actual individual gross monthly salary of all regular officers and employees occupying budgeted positions. And it just says it'll identify each budgeted position by the title of the position. And it says once each year. So it doesn't say at least once each year, but I'm assuming, you know, that that's a minimum, and I would think you could do it more than once a year. And I'm not sure if that is, you know, setting anything in stone either. That doesn't really seem like it makes that much sense. So if we adopt a master payroll, publish the actual individual gross monthly salary of all regular officers in budgeted positions, is that the current salary that officer is making at that point in time and not the range?
At July, correct.
So even assuming we adopt a master payroll, over the year, if someone gets increases, that number is going to change. So that's just a snapshot?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
All right, well, I'm just not sure that the master payroll adoption is locking us into anything in that respect. So it just seems like it's really a piece of information for us to publish to the public.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And commissioners years ago added to have the benefits show also, and that's not even a requirement. All we have to show is
gross monthly salary.
Gross monthly salary.
Okay.
So we give a lot more information than we need to.
Commissioner Boyce, do you have anything further?
Thank you. This is just a process, and we have, to have this study, the reality of that is very helpful and beneficial, and it shows, I think, that we're trying to move the county forward in a variety of ways. We also have a strong responsibility to help improve the lives of everybody in the county, and so giving us that extra 60 days. Also to hear from department heads, other elected officials, they're having trouble.
No, I thought we were going to go back.
In 60 days, we have to reevaluate.
But I thought we were evaluating as to implementing the wage study. I thought we were going to stay with the
That's my understanding.
COLA and the steps at anniversary based on the old salary schedules.
Correct.
That's my understanding.
As the master payroll is written with an amended Exhibit A, because I think I just did that as draft anyway.
But SEIU still gets a 3% based on the old scale.
Right. That's yeah. So everybody will get a 3% COLA and a full 5% step increase at anniversary.
Except for those that are termed out or limited.
Yeah.
out.
Just in SEIU.
No, I think we're talking about all employees.
No, because roads and non-rep aren't going to get a 5% step increase.
Well, that's what I thought we were talking about, was giving the non-reps the 5% so that would free up the road to get theirs.
In 60 days, they wanted to look at it.
No, I was looking at to implement the wage study in 60 days.
Yeah.
Right. So by waiting 60 days to implement the wage study, what that means is current SEIU employees, per their agreement, will get a step increase. Road and non-reps will not.
But I think that's what I think they're two different animals. So the master payroll order has in it that each category of employees will get the 3% and the step at anniversary and whatever insurance change was negotiated.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 60 days, they were going to come back and revisit whether to implement the new wages into the employees. But let me ask you this, and it would be retroactive to July 1 possibly, or it doesn't have to be. But my question is then, if you implement the wage study with 3% between steps, and you've got other people that are starting to get a 5% step,
then you got a problem.
then what happens?
What? Yeah. Where is the 5% step coming from?
That's what current steps
The
are.
old wage.
Current full step is 5% on the
New
on
wage
the
study is
old
3% across the board.
Sure, but the master payroll is just a snapshot in time.
Mhm.
I don't understand the master payroll to establish steps.
The master payroll order
Mm-hmm.
establishes steps, not the Excel spreadsheet. That's your snapshot at July, but the master payroll order establishes who gets what through the year.
It says what range you're at, what step you're at.
Okay.
So if you look at the order itself, John,
Yeah.
that establishes for each category of employees what they're going to get through the year.
The order that was in the packet last July 1, just last week.
Yes.
I don't know that there's going to be that much difference by the time.
So what it says is that the employees listed on A shall be classified and compensated as described in A, and that's the spreadsheet. Then the language says the schedules attached here 2 or part hereof shall be adopted effective July 1 and continue until the board deems appropriate. So it shows it can be changed later. 2, employees and elected officials shall continue to pay their 6% PERS. Then it says commissioners shall not receive an increase, remain at 68,463. The sheriff shall receive 5% COLA and shall be paid 95,691. The other elected officials will get a 4% COLA. Assessor 69,564, clerk 68,662, treasurer 68,047. And the county shall contribute up to $1,300 to medical and dental and vision insurance. Then it says non-reps shall receive a COLA of 3% and shall receive step increases on their anniversary. So it doesn't say what percentage of a step increase. And then it says they'll get $1,300 to insurance.
It doesn't say a full or a half.
It just says shall receive a step increase on their anniversary. The question for you is that then an unfreezing of steps?
Yes.
Okay, and that language was intended to correspond with my understanding, the Exhibit A, which showed a 3% step.
Yeah.
Exhibit A doesn't necessarily show a step.
Okay.
Exhibit A shows what everybody's at July 1 with a 3% COLA, and if somebody's eligible for a step increase at July 1, then it would include that in there.
So.
But it did incorporate
there's two spreadsheets on that Exhibit A. At least there was in my original Excel sheet. One is current, no COLA, no step, no nothing. One is based on the new wage schedule with the COLA and the steps at anniversary on everybody. But if it's the PDF version, there's only one.
I'm looking at a PDF version.
So
I believe there's only one.
Yeah.
And so in this one, is this showing, let me just see if I can.
It's going to show the 3% COLA, and if someone's eligible at July 1 for a step, it would be in there. Based on,
Yeah, the step just has a notation 21316. I wish we could almost pull this up on the.
Commissioner Gold?
So, Julie, what I really want to know, since we're already bound by these union contracts, if we were to implement the wage study, just as we were looking at, versus having to do the union contracts, what would be the difference? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I missed that. So you, based on, so the wage
the
study,
unrepresented are the ones that are basic.
the SEIU, and what the two categories are, that's easy.
How long?
How long would that take you to do?
That's pretty easy. I could knock that out probably within
15
an hour.
minutes?
Half an hour?
Half an hour? Sounds good. I say let's do it, because I'd rather make a really informed decision.
So why don't we go ahead and recess until, that'll give you enough time, if we do it right at 3, it'll only take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right at 3 o'clock.
We're pushing it, but we'll do it.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that
our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emo.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties are a key level of government, serving the people directly. So, do you vote? Had a recent hospital stay? Know someone in a nursing home? More reasons why counties matter. There are 3,069 counties across the country, with populations big and small. Most of us live and work in one. Even the nation's capital is considered a county. These county governments ensure that the food you eat in restaurants is safe. They care for the mentally ill, run court systems, build local economies, and operate 911 emergency systems. They manage parks and recreation facilities. And the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
Important to the counties all across Oregon.
It's the networking. I mean, we learn a lot about the different issues that counties deal with, but it's networking with other commissioners, getting ideas on how they handle situations that is the most helpful for me.
I love my job. It actually matters to me on a daily basis. I used to do a lot of charity, and in commissioning in Deschutes County, you can make a serious difference. Lots of things have happened since I've been in office, and I feel like it's important to represent the people. I grew up in Eastern Oregon, and I love the residents of Eastern Oregon. The architect of our first house actually had Doris Day as a dear friend and a client, and he would bring Doris Day up the mountains in Malibu to our house as it was being built.
This is my 4th conference at AOC. My favorite part is the fellowship with other commissioners and coming up with solutions with common situations and with commissioners from around the state to best serve our people. My favorite part about being a commissioner in Josephine County is the people that we work with. We live in the most beautiful place, but we have the most beautiful people. They are talented, artistic, caring. We have such a high level of philanthropy and just caring for our fellow citizens, and it's the best place in all of Oregon.
Hi, I'm Commissioner Martha Schrader from Clackamas County, Oregon. I'm the current president of the Association of Oregon Counties. Oh my goodness, I've been president for 1 year, but I've been a member of the Association of Oregon Counties since 2003. So one of the reasons I really wanted to be president, and I've enjoyed it so much, is because I get to know everybody across the state, all the commissioners, and I've been from one end of the state to the other, visiting with them, talking with them, and really getting an idea.
They're all teaming up to solve the problems of our county, and it's just really a pleasure to be able to be connected with and working with those people. And better days, good days ahead for our county and our citizens.
Hi, I'm Joe Dabolskis. This is my 3rd AOC convention, and my favorite part is the networking with the people. And the breakout sessions are kind of good because it gives me something to focus on, a goal where I want the county to be in 5 years when my term is up.
Hi, I'm Tillamook County Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Our county college class was probably was the best county college class ever at AOC. It was the largest at over 33 members. When you look at the legislature and the power that the major metropolitan areas have, the rural counties are oftentimes left out of those conversations. AOC really does a terrific job of representing rural counties and rural interests, and we wouldn't have the impact that we do in Oregon without AOC.
My name is Joe Burney, Lane County Commissioner from Springfield. My favorite part is eating good food. My second favorite part is meeting with other commissioners, seeing what they're thinking, comparing solutions to problems, learning how nonpartisan solutions really are, and getting ideas. Yes.
Hi, my name is Derek DeGroot, Klamath County Commissioner, and so I'm running for second vice president of the Association of Oregon Counties. I believe that our association is perfectly poised to solve problems and bring solutions to Oregon politics and communicate with the legislature about the diversity of Oregon.
I'm Jay Bozovich, and I'm a Lane County Commissioner. And so I've been a commissioner for about 8 years and 11 months. And my favorite part about being a commissioner is this job is different every day.
Hi, my name is Alex Tardif, and I'm a commissioner for Columbia County and currently serving as AOC treasurer in my second year. And the thing I enjoy most about AOC and being the treasurer
One of the things I really appreciate about our entire region is that we embrace who we are, and I think that's what unifies us. Once the timber and fishing industries collapsed, it took us a long time to get back on our feet. People didn't quite grasp the idea that once these jobs left, they weren't going to get other family wage jobs, and it crippled us.
Things were getting really dire. So we just saw that this was an opportunity to maybe look at that public land a little differently and how it could bring more dollars into our region.
The Wild Rivers Coast is so unique because there are more wild and scenic rivers here than anywhere else in the lower 48 states. The scenic beauty is just amazing. There's so many different places to go, from the national forest down to the protected ocean, and it's just a really special place.
I guess I didn't really know how special it was, though, until I moved away to Portland and came back and saw all the potential here.
We're uncrowded, we're unspoiled, and we're a little difficult to get to, but my God, once you come here, you fall in love.
We just thought if we could pull people to come into this Wild Rivers Coast and stay longer and explore a little farther into our backcountry, there was a lot of opportunities for them to experience.
I think our whole future is at stake here. This area is ready to go. We just need to give it a little kick in the butt.
I'm going to be honest, when the Rural Tourism Studio came here, I was skeptical because I didn't see far enough ahead that we actually could collaborate regionally, and I'm pleasantly surprised. It's been amazing.
The Rural Tourism Studios was the first time we were able to come together as a region to talk about the future of our economy.
If we can have a strong tourism economy in this area, it's going to benefit the whole community.
Food in our grocery stores, in our restaurants, and we have a new local food co-op.
We created a farm trail from Bandon to Port Orford. We did 9 U-Pick farms, and it just gained traction, and people loved it.
Langlois is less than 500 people. It's very small. So we have to bring in tourists. And being on the farm trail, even though it's just beginning, has really helped do that. We really want to make it a destination for anybody. My mom and I began Dragonfly Farm just 3 years ago. When I found out that I could grow a seed and turn that into food, it was like, oh my gosh, why wouldn't you do this? I just quit my day job and I just signed the paper to be an official co-owner of the farm. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life and grow with the community.
Out of the Outdoor Recreation Action Team, we came up with a series of maps that show where the best places to go recreate are. We know where we're going to send people now, and we got a great map that shows all the best places to go see.
For us to get a mapping project done to this extent is pretty impressive. We're patting ourselves on the back. I don't know anybody else is, but we're doing it.
From that, we decided that there was some places that needed help, so we came up with a mountain bike plan, and we also worked on designating a state scenic bikeway. The Outdoor Recreation Action Team was also looking at how we can make scuba diving better in this area, so we came up with the idea for a scuba fill station. So now people that want to come and dive in this area, they can dive for multiple days because they can get their tanks filled up again. When I started the Rural Tourism Studio, my business, South Coast Tours, was really small. And now we've grown to about 5 or 6 guides, and we're doing tours all over from Brookings all the way up to Coos Bay.
Overall, tourism is on the rise here. We've had
together and find out what your mission and goals are collectively. Then you can work into smaller groups, knowing that you have the backing of the whole community behind you.
As long as everybody's just super excited about it and passionate about what they're doing and they can work together, then anything's possible.
Own what you have and don't try to be something that you're not. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna take a long time. So roll up your sleeves and just dig in with an open mind.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do.
Roadway departure fatalities are a serious and often preventable problem in the United States. The Federal Highway Administration reports that 54% of all highway fatalities are caused by drivers leaving their lane of travel. The Oregon Department of Transportation is taking a proactive approach to reduce this kind of tragedy by implementing a centerline and shoulder rumble strip program.
Rumble strips are one of the most low-cost, cost-effective countermeasures that we can apply across the system.
Rumble strips are grooved patterns on the roadway that make a rumbling sound and a physical vibration, immediately warning inattentive drivers that they're leaving their driving lane. Rumble strips allow drivers to self-correct and avoid an accident.
About 67% of fatal crashes in Oregon are road departure crashes, which are a vehicle can leave the lane to the right and hit a ditch or a rock or a tree, something like that, or cross over the center line to the left and get in a head-on collision or a sideswipe meeting type crash.
Over an 8-year period, ODOT engineers studied segments of 16 different highways and concluded that rumble strips are highly effective at reducing lane departures.
We did a before and after crash analysis to find that we have reduced head-on fatalities by 40% with the installation of centerline rumble strips.
We've been trying to find a way to deal with a problem that seems to be increasing over the last 10 or 15 years with our drivers, and that's distracted driving. And there's a lot of things that cause distracted driving. All these distractions are things that make people take their attention away from where it should be.
Comparisons between other available safety features like guardrail and concrete barriers show that shoulder and centerline rumble strips are the most cost-effective safety treatment available.
On the order of 10 times as quiet, and we're actually going to be installing our first full set of these style of rumble strips along 205 this summer.
So we recognize that noise is a concern, but one of the things I like to tell people is whenever you hear the sound of a rumble strip, it could be the sound of the life being saved of one of your loved ones.
Rumble strips are proven to save lives. The Oregon Department of Transportation is taking the lead in implementing the sound of safety.
sign that doesn't have a rider on it, so we take our first test at this posted speed limit of 35
Bob
miles
Weeks
per
and
hour.
Harley Bills are seeing more than their share of curvy roads these days. Their job is to drive every stretch of highway in Region 1 several times. All this driving back and forth.
The old limits were set back in the 1930s and 40s and were changed very little until just recently. So now our limits are taking into account newer vehicles, a little bit more aggressive driving style, and so those limits are going up.
And going up in a big
about 800 signs along this section.
That's a lot of signs.
It's a lot of signs. If it's a 35-mile-an-hour corner, you should be taking it at 35 miles an hour.
What draws you to the Oregon coast? Is it the green and blue surf on a brilliant sunny day, or angry, boiling waves during a raging winter storm? Do you prefer quiet coves or powerful breakers churning the sand? How about sand castles? Do you come for the rising tide or the setting sun, to marvel at whales gliding through the sea or flying in the sky? Reasons to travel the Pacific Coast Scenic Byway are as far-reaching as your imagination. This is a spectacular part of Oregon that traces the entire coastline along Highway 101, guiding you to the sea and away again, to coastal towns big and small, lowland marshes, and breathtaking
a scenic byway that are perfect places to stop and enjoy nature in a relatively unspoiled way.
From the north, you begin in Astoria, the first permanent European settlement in the Pacific Northwest. It's a genuine maritime community with ship traffic from around the world seeking harbor up the Columbia. The official State Maritime Museum of Oregon sits here on the river. Beautiful Victorian houses dot the hillside. And standing 600 feet above sea level is the 125-foot Astoria Column. It features a hand-painted spiral frieze that would stretch over 500 feet if unwound. Heading south, you'll find the community of Seaside, a popular vacation spot that offers miles of public beaches, an oceanfront promenade, and a downtown core packed with restaurants, shops, and even a beach-type arcade. Cannon Beach is home to one of Oregon's most photographed natural wonders, Haystack Rock. Get your shots from the beach, or take a short drive up to Ecola State Park and look down on this 235-foot work of art. The picturesque small town is filled with art galleries, shops, and cafes. Ready for more? 10 miles to the south, this is the view from Cape Falcon. You're 700 feet above the Pacific. Here, the Pacific Coast Byway has been carved out of Neahkahnie Mountain and held in place by stone walls built in the 1930s by craftsmen in the Civilian Conservation Corps. Upon descending the mountain, the highway drifts inward around Tillamook Bay to Tillamook, the unofficial dairy capital of Oregon. The verdant valley of dairy farms in this area produces 25 million gallons of milk annually. Much of that is processed into natural cheddar cheese. And near more than 800 miles of navigable waters, Tillamook is a crossroads for North Coast recreation. From here, you owe it to yourself to veer off Highway 101 to explore the Three Capes Scenic Loop. This drive places just happen to be excellent places to view nesting seabirds and offshore sea life. Tide pools, those rocky areas between high and low tides, support unique and diverse plants and animals. Vast amounts of colorful, otherworldly creatures wait to be discovered. But walk cautiously. These organisms are tough enough to withstand the pounding surf, but are utterly vulnerable to human activity. Wildlife and sea life abound on the coast.
There are 6 national wildlife refuges along the Oregon coast. The Pacific Coast Scenic Byway bisects these refuges or goes alongside them. It provides you the opportunity to see a wide variety of abundant wildlife, including seabirds, seals and sea lions, deer and elk, and many other wildlife.
Cape Kiwanda lies at the southern end of the Three Capes Scenic Loop, near the town of Pacific City. Here you'll find a second haystack rock on the byway. Hike up the dune to marvel at stunning views of sandstone formations as they turn yellow, gold, or even red in the changing sunlight. If your timing is right, you'll spot 1 or 2 of the dory fleet sprint onto the beach after a day of fishing. How's this for a dinner setting? Restaurants along the Pacific Coast Scenic Byway accommodate just about any taste. Many serve an ocean view with every meal. Up and down the coast, you'll find seafood, of course, but don't limit yourself just because you're by the water. The Central Coast begins around Lincoln City, which is one of the larger communities on the byway. It has a reputation for being windy and was recognized by Kite Lines magazine as the best place to fly a kite in North America. It was incorporated from several small towns and as a result offers a sandy beach that is 7.5 miles long.
So the difference will be the non-reps and road department. So for instance, general fund previously was $158,000. SEIU piece of that is $86,000. So the difference is what, 72. Same with the other funds. Previously it was 227.5. Now it's 70,003. So about 150,000 for non-reps and road department.
So earlier we talked about the difference of about $135,000, which would be this new wage study program with everything in it. With this information, what do you think the difference would be for the non-reps and all that? We're only talking about 35 or 40,000 we estimated?
Well, if you got 385.8 total to 156.4 for SCIU, so the difference of that is going to be about 130,000 for the non-reps and road department.
Right. But we're just talking SCIU right now.
Well, that's what I gave you was the SCIU numbers to look at the difference. The balance would be road department and non-rep. Does that match?
And that's because we have to give SEIU an increase for the contract.
That's 18 employees.
Got 23 now. 23 to 25. Yeah, so your difference, just from rough numbers, just quick, it looks like your road department and your non-reps is going to be about 130,000, bottom line.
Julian, how much of that is the road department?
Well, I didn't do road department and SEIU.
Ballpark.
Well, road department, let me see. Road department was 110,000 for the initial difference. So that would be, so the non-reps are going to be about $30,000.
About 30.
So the only other 2-year commitment is in the labor agreement with the SEIU. I think we'd have to reopen with them.
Right. And we still have a year on the road and Teamsters on
Yeah.
that.
So I'm talking about the non-reps.
Yeah.
And
the non-reps aren't, those are flexible. The road is a separate source. So I think, to consider that. And then and then the 220, the sheriff, I suppose they have 1 more year. So really a year from now, you can change the master payroll again. So and again, the master payroll is only a snapshot, and I've given the order to you at your places to review. And if you look at I think it's the first page of the order, because the statute just says once a year you have to do this. What it says here on the on whereas number B, I think it says, until such time as the Board of Commissioners deems it appropriate. So in other words, this is just a snapshot. If we have to come back and rejigger it, I believe the statute allows us to. It's just a publication to let people know what we're doing. I don't see it as a binding promise of continued future wage for anyone, except for, again, the labor negotiation agreements.
Okay.
And then I have a question about that. In the labor negotiation agreements, I'm pretty sure they reference the salary and benefit package, or I think we actually have to negotiate with them every time. For instance, in the roads, if we adopt this master payroll, we still have to negotiate, I think, the agreement with the roads. It seems like they had a lot of questions about the impact of this action on the labor agreement. Isn't that true?
Right, those were the ones I read through.
Yeah. Rules on reconsideration is that any person, you must have voted in the affirmative on the motion or in the majority to ask for reconsideration. So any one of you could ask for reconsideration of that 60-day continuation.
I so move.
And I'll second that.
Discussion?
So the bottom line is 130,000, excuse me, trying to speed up here, 130,000, most of which is to the road department.
Yes.
And does that doesn't even buy us, I just heard somebody say that doesn't even impact for the negotiations. Did I hear that correctly? So we give them 100,000 now for 18 employees, and then we still have negotiations to do prior to 1 year.
Well, the contract has an it ends in 2022, so we do have to renegotiate it anyway coming up. But Teamsters 206 would have to accept this wage study.
So,
okay.
Yep.
Which is what they're, right now, like I said, they're just asking for clarification before they make.
Okay, and we have this money in the PILT reserve.
Yes.
I can't even believe I just let reserve come out of my mouth when in Curry County with what we're faced with. And so this doesn't cover employment costs or payroll costs, which is another, that would be another, of the 130, that would be about another 65,000.
No, all the costs are included in these numbers.
Excuse me, thank you, I should have asked that earlier, or.
This is the whole package.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, that changes the picture for me. So I want to hear from everybody that they understand it's 130,000 bottom line, as Commissioner Gold said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And right now we're just voting to reconsider, and then you would have to have a separate motion after that to adopt the master payroll.
Understand?
Okay.
And without putting you on the spot, there's been a push in Russia to get this done today. And I think you've done remarkable. Are you comfortable with the figures that you've given us? And Council Huddle said anyway, this doesn't really lock us in. I mean, if something, okay, I'm satisfied, Mr.
Do you wish
Chair.
to reconsider as well, sir?
Yes.
So the motion is unanimous to reconsider.
So now you're gonna.
If I may, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes.
That amends 3-year
Yes.
original. Okay.
Down to 1 year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Did you have a question?
I'll get a clarification.
Okay. Aye.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Okay, and then a clarification. Is this effective July 1st?
Yes.
Or July 8th?
July 1st.
July 1st.
Okay.
With the fiscal year, start of the fiscal year.
That makes it easier.
We don't have an option on that, do we?
Well, we do, but.
Not without making a mess.
Understand. Thank you.
All right, so we need another motion to approve the wage study?
That's what we just
I'm
did.
sorry, not
The
wage study.
master payroll.
The master payroll.
I move that we approve the presented master payroll.
Commissioner Boyce, did you have something for?
Yes, thank you again. Did we need to vote away the extension, the 60-day extension?
We already did that.
We did? I didn't. I wasn't here.
We reconsidered. And
Okay,
you're
same
reconsidering
thing?
that votes it away.
Okay, so the public knows.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Further discussion? Roll, please.
Commissioner Gold.
Aye.
Vice Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Chair Pash.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Anything further?
And just to clarify that it is the Roads 206 Teamsters is subject to the approval by their union.
Yes.
Would you mind saying that again? I didn't quite hear you.
implementation of the wage study for Teamsters 206 is provided that they approve it and accept it,
Okay.
the road
yes.
department.
And if they don't, Mr. Christensen is gonna have a talk with them real nice.
Ooh.
Nothing further, this meeting is adjourned.
It would actually be us.
I want Mr.